people, don't create big companies without tremendous tenacity. And it doesn't surprise me when you tell me somebody like Richard Branson swims around his island in circles, just to know that he can, is because he's a very determined guy. He's done tremendously well at everything he's started. That doesn't mean it was easy. It doesn't mean that people didn't tell him he couldn't. Oh, you can't start your own record company. You can't start your own airline. You can't this. But most of the really successful people who have achieved a lot in life, when they hear that kind of stuff, something inside them goes, oh, yeah? Well, watch this. And young people need to have more of that they can't just expect to pop out of college, have somebody give them a job, and it lasts their whole life. There was a time in history where that pretty much happened.
It's a different world now.
Yeah, well, it's a different world, for better or for worse. It's the one we've got. And people better learn to adapt to what is. Otherwise, things are not going to work out so well. There are people that had jobs most of their lives and suddenly became unemployed. And, they had expected, they made deals with these companies. I'm going to stay there, I'm going to retire, you're going to support me for the rest of my life. And when it didn't work out, and the companies went bankrupt and disappeared, they may be angry and they may know who to blame. But things aren't going to get better till they adapt somehow. And you better plan to adapt ahead of time. Better you get ahead of the curve than let it smack you in the head.
It doesn't matter how talented you are. If you don't have self-belief, you're not going to get anywhere. If you have extraordinary self-belief, very little talent, you can get everywhere. But if you have both, if you have talent and belief, it will actually make you unstoppable. I work with a lot of football teams and a lot of football players, and a lot of those footballers come out of school at 14. They know they're going to be famous players. They don't really pursue an education. A lot of them have an extraordinary negative self-belief because they're only good at sport, which is a great shame. And one of my players at the moment has now become a fantastic commentator, but I do a lot of work with him to put in him that belief, because he wasn't great at spelling and he wasn't great at school because he knew he was going to be a footballer. So belief without talent will take you far further than talent without belief. But if you have both, you can go far. But everyone can learn self-belief. Everyone's good at something. You're not meant to be good at everything. It's no good being a jack of all trades and a master of none. So be really good at what you're good at, and don't worry about what you're not good at, because we're not all supposed to be good at the same thing. Find your talent, find out what you love to do. What you're meant to do lies directly behind and is absolutely linked to what you love to do. When I was a kid, actually, I loved writing little stories and illustrating them. And it's funny that now I am a very successful writer, because I was always writing when I was a kid, but I never considered that as a career. But it kind of found me later. My daughter was always drawing and always, in fact, she went to college to be a criminologist and then gave that up and became an artist because it's what she was meant to do. So find out what you love and be brilliant at it and believe in yourself.
To make sure that all these wonderful teachings they get from the self-development teachers, then when they would go home, that it really starts anchoring into their life. So it's not just an aha moment in a workshop, but or an aha moment when they do coaching or mentoring, but that their environment is supporting them, because that's where I see the missing link in a lot of the human potential movement. Like they go from one workshop to another, but they're never integrating, they're never anchoring it in the environment where they live. And so that's my contribution most of the time when people come to see me, is like they're going to look into their home and saying, okay, or my office, this is what I want as a new thinking, this is how I want as a new vision, but is my environment reflecting what I want? Because it's about 87 to 90%, everything is subconscious. So your environment is giving you subconsciously messages all the time. Yeah, so it's giving you messages of success and money, relationships, health, wisdom. Like yesterday evening, I was in somebody's apartment, and their relationship is not going so well. And they're like, so I come into the bedroom. I mean, there's nothing from even a picture of both, of the couple. It was just an image of a lonely cow, actually. It was a cow, a lonely cow. And I'm thinking, all right, this is not going to give you romance, right?
Yeah.
In an office, for example, I would definitely put the logo of your company. I would put, if you have products or services, you can put them there or hang them there as the flyers, the business cards. So whatever is there needs to be 24 hours a day telling you, this is my success, your goals, your vision board.
I think schools should put half their curriculum should be self-belief. We know that in countries like America, where they really teach children to believe in themselves, it doesn't work across all, but it works. We know that in schools like Montessori, where they teach self-belief, it works. And, you know, our schools spend so much time on things like handwriting and languages, and they're very useful. But nothing is as useful as self-belief. And we also know that you only learn for 3 hours a day. You can have an 8-hour day, but you're going to learn in 3 hours, that's it. So you should put a lot more time into making children believe in themselves. And also goals. The very few schools that teach goal achieving find that children really like it. And the statistics go way, way up. So I would love every school curriculum to teach goal setting, goal achieving, and self-belief and self-confidence, because self-esteem means how much you like yourself. But when you like yourself, you also like other people too. You can't like yourself and not like other people. So a lot of violence and aggression would end if we could just learn how to like ourselves and other people rather than feel dissatisfied with ourselves, which means, of course, you're dissatisfied with someone else. Because if you don't like yourself and you feel dissatisfied, you want everyone around you to be like that too, and then you feel a bit better because you're in the same company. If you don't feel very good and everyone around you is happy, then what people do is they tend to try and diminish everyone else or elevate themselves. But you can't elevate yourself if you don't like yourself. So a lot of the issues we have in schools, the violence, the truanting, the not achieving, could be cut in half if you just taught children to really like themselves and to have self-esteem. One of my favourite things is to make people believe that they're enough. You know, I mean, as I said, I work with people who have eating problems, shoplifting problems, shopping problems, phobia problems, and most people wake up and they think, I'm not enough, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not talented enough. And, you know, we live in a world where people are always trying to buy stuff because they don't feel enough. They need trainers and the latest brand because they don't feel enough. When you wake up every day and say, I'm enough, I am enough, all that stuff goes away. And of course, you can't say it once, you have to say it over and over again. So what I love is to write that on your screensaver, write it on your mirror, write it on your phone. And if you wake up every day and say, I'm enough, I know, maybe I'm not rich, but I'm still enough. Okay, I'm not a size 10, I'm still enough. I don't have loads of cash, I'm still enough. As you begin to believe that you're enough, that you're good enough and lovable enough, all of the other stuff goes away. So that's my favourite thing to teach. I teach that to depressed people all the time because they never feel enough, that you're enough, that you're lovable just the way you are. It doesn't mean you can't make the best of yourself, but you're lovable. Believe in yourself, because no one else can believe in you if you don't believe in you.
Absolutely.
If your theory tells you something is impossible and you don't look beyond it, you don't get that thing, not what stops me, but what would happen if I did, then you get to go into the future and look backwards and start to see what needs to be created, what needs to be asked, what needs to be done, what you need to try in order to get to the other side. And, you know, there are obstacles in life, and when the obstacles get there, that means you need to try something else and you need to become more determined.